And the third question I wanted to pose is relating to feminism directly, like feminism as a politics. So I would like to ask you, like, what is your feminist politics, or what do you think about feminist art? Is there one, or is there just like a feminist approach to art?
Is there a feminist art, or feminist, isn't that kind of similar? Like
Yeah.
art that becomes with a feminist approach is maybe feminist art. Well, feminism is many things, and I think beauty of it is that people take it very differently. There are maybe 5 or 10 feminisms today at the moment, and tomorrow there will be 11. There is old feminism, which I very much appreciate for some parts, and women even opposing other women voting because it was somehow only to confirm manpower, which is still the case today. You kind of are allowed to vote, but mostly for men. So it's all very relative, and I like it because it makes you think. And I think feminism is a part of is kind of a part of a resistance to mainstream, more than it's about being a woman, female, estrogen. There are really so many things that are individual to every woman that you can't treat them that biologically. I really dislike tendencies in feminism to distinguish women by their biological setting, because that's not what women are. I mean, there are many other things we experience daily that make us what we are, and I don't like to be treated as a biological and determined by my biology, because I think, yeah, there are so many other things. So I think it's about some kind of resistance to mainstream.
And is there like some specific work of art you did that you could name like feminist, or you could read it in a feminist manner?
Yeah, maybe one, maybe more, but what I would think of now is this video that I made. It's maybe my first work of art. I was not then consciously and intentionally feministic. When I was young, I didn't really. I much more now appreciate the need to come together into groups and even out your personal preferences to be part of a larger group because it's stronger. When I was younger, I was much more individualist. I didn't want to participate in this also mainstream feminism that, like, yeah, we women suffer, because it's who are these women who suffer, and are they feminists? Or, you know, you can raise many questions. So I was studying architecture, and I thought how often there is a stereotype about beauty and design that is derived from human figures. Like if you even construction-wise or like design-wise, there is a lot of aesthetics that's derived from human body, and how specifically the facades from the 30s modernism were designed to look like women's faces, like very elegant. They were really stereotyping this beauty look, having, you know, symmetry, then having kind of a mouth and eyes, and I don't know, and all these little decorations, not very much, but to me these facades really look like faces. So I recorded women's faces. I asked them to stand very still and just look at the camera, and they all kept moving and talking and asking how much more, and then I made kind of a street of these facades overlaid with faces that were moving kind of slightly, so it looks like the facades are talking, and then there was this noisy soundtrack of the conversations that were like, how much more? And probably my mom constantly in the background saying something to someone. And maybe that's a feminist work.
And in your work, you're dealing really much with this notion and issues of the public space. So I wonder, like, what is the public space for you, and how we can produce this public space, and how do you think you deal with it in your work, or how do you deal with it with your work?
Yeah, indeed, public space needs to be produced. It's taken as something that should be given to us, and it's really problematic because we expect it, but we don't always ask for it, and it happens often that it's taken away in different ways. For example, privatization of public spaces, which happens a lot in, well, Western countries, where you have, I don't know, famous London situation where all the streets were kind of rented by private renters who were like private businesses who were then managing the streets. So they decide on the way people can and when use this space. They tend to discriminate a lot against young people who don't have money, so they tend to really support a specific audience that will spend money there, and that is very problematic public space because it's actually a street. Many things are taken for granted as they are today, that we always had parks and we always had streets, but it's not so. Streets were also private. Before streets, they were just roads, and they were also not public somehow. They were made by people who invested and they owned them. Bridges specifically. So we kind of have this claim of common things that is increasing because we have more space that's produced by people and not just found in the nature. Yeah, I think that it's always a question of claiming this public space, and you can do it in many ways. By protesting, but also by just hanging out, by putting things in public space. That's what I kind of always want to do. That's why I started doing the solar cells, and I actually never did this. I wanted to put some little devices that I made that make noises, just to leave them. When I was deciding to kind of go away from the Netherlands, I wanted, because this public space in the Netherlands I didn't really find
inspiring.
Yeah. There is really a lot of control, also because of the weather. You can't really hang out there, and then the society accepts this restriction and makes even more of them. You can't drink, you can't do this, you can't gather, you can't be young in the public space. You have to be old and wise, I don't know. And so so yeah, I wanted to leave these noisy things, and I thought I need solar panels like solar panels to have them constantly working. And then I thought, how do you make solar cells yourself if you don't want to buy them? Can you do this? And then I discovered that you can.
Oh, great. So it's connected to the idea of producing public space.
Yes.
Okay, Selena, thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
this conversation.